Hello. I have like this weird glitch on the back of my in the video version of this with my couch like on this green screen. Like there you go, it's gone and it's gonna come back. Anyway, hello. Welcome to the first episode of this podcast. I decided to call it the Imperm column. It's a Yu-Gi-Oh based podcast. I wanted to make something just to express how much I've enjoyed the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise and kind of get all that out of me because it's something that I love Yu-Gi-Oh a lot, and I've been following this game for a really long time. I'm trying to ignore the couch behind me, but I think this podcast is intended for me to like express all that in a way that's like a little more low pressure and a little more casually in a sense. I was doing a lot of different videos on my YouTube channel. Obviously, my channel's like centralized theming has gone around and it's changed a lot, and that's fine. Like I don't know, my channel is just about me and what I like to do and what I want to put out there for people. So I do play the Yu-Gi-Oh TCG with a competitive sense. You know, things like hand traps or more competitive cards like Ash Blossom and Joy Spring or like Forbidden Droplet or like Nibiru, the Primal Being, or like optimized builds. And I think there's a place now, especially now, for building a little more casually. I think it's cool that that's being allowed. We'll kind of get more into that later. But I also wanted to use this as a space for me to talk about a lot of different aspects of Yu-Gi-Oh and the trading card game that I feel like maybe don't get talked about as much or like aren't emphasized as much. Things like official merchandise. I love Yu-Gi-Oh merch. I collect a lot of it. Collecting the cards in general, like as a collector, I feel like with a lot of the reprints that have been happening and the way that that's been going, people have kind of fallen off. And something I really appreciate about Yu-Gi-Oh is the collectability of it and like the idea of it. Not really like value wise. I mean, I understand like things have value, and I'm sure we all hope if we decide to like not collect anymore, we can get value back. And I think that idea is a little not there for Yu-Gi-Oh at the moment, which means it's good as a collector because then you get to just pick stuff up, right? Yeah. So the other things I would want to talk about are things like retro formats. Some of my favorites are like Edison. I think Goat's pretty cool. A lesser known one that I like is Critter format. So it's like Metal Raiders format where you can play like Sangan Witch. Like it's pretty underpowered, but there's some. It evokes a very nostalgic era of the game that I really liked. That I look at fondly. Some alternate formats like Cube or like drafting. I think that stuff is really cool. I wish I had more people to kind of do that with and engage with, but I like a lot of those ideas. I also want to use this to discuss Master Duel, as it's something I actively play and like. I mean, I doom about it, sure, but like I'm a little more like it kind of is what it is. It's kind of its own separate format, whether that's for better or for worse. It just is. And then the other thing that just happened recently that wasn't here when I was first planning this podcast out and kind of like going through it in my head is the Genesis format. So I feel like these topics again are just really overlooked by the constant barrage of advanced format stuff that Konami seems to push. And it's only recently that this advanced format of TCG and OCG have been the only plays that the ways to play that Konami has kind of like advocated for. And it's just like, man, you guys have like so much potential. And hopefully we can tap into that and kind of get more into that as this Genesis format is also happening. Maybe that encourages more people to kind of be like, well, maybe we should do our own house rules for Yu-Gi-Oh. And I don't know. Yu-Gi-Oh is just so cool, and there's so many cards and like aspects of the game that are overlooked because of the sake of like min-maxing stuff for meta, which is fine. Like I have nothing against meta, but like you look at stuff like of course I'm gonna say Magic the Gathering, where people have like Winston drafts and they do like there's Dan, which is like a thing where the two players play out of the same deck. That's another thing I wanted to mention that I like is there's a pretty obscure format called the 2004 Tokyo Mirror Match that I really like. And so like I'll probably take an episode to talk about that and kind of go over the nuance of it all. Because I think that stuff is cool. I think there are other ways to play that maybe can fit other skill levels or lack of skill sometimes, right? Like some cards are just unbelievably strong. So hopefully some of these aspects are relevant to you and that you follow the podcast and like really look forward to it. I really appreciate you that you've even sat this long and have listened to me talk about it this far. Um But today's episode, which I will call the Duelist Genesis, which is a reference to the first 5Ds pack. I wanted to start off with my journey of how I got into Yu-Gi-Oh, how I got to where I'm at currently, and I do also want to mention that I love hearing other people's stories about how they got into the game and what drives them to play it. Please tell me in the comments or reach out to me and tell me what aspects of Yu-Gi-Oh you enjoy. I just really think it's fun to see what others get out of this franchise because I think like some people just forget how like other people engage with things and it's not just like meta. Yeah, I think that's really cool. And again, I just think it's fun. So please let me know. I'd love to see it. So let's go ahead and talk about my history with Yu-Gi-Oh and how we got here and how we're sitting here discussing this now. So this was like had to at least been 2000 and I mean 2002 is when it came out, maybe 2003. I heard about it at school. Like people were talking about it like, it's the new Pokemon and like it's this like big thing. It's like Digimon but more and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." I remember liking Digimon a little bit growing up. I have like some of the older like upper deck trading cards. But I remember like seeing or like hearing about like zombies and like ritual stuff and yeah, I thought it sounded a little intimidating, and like my parents probably wouldn't like it because I was raised in like a religious household. But I also just like it sounded cool. So like it piqued my interest like a little bit, and I was like, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh, like what is that? It's so like unlike anything before because we have Pokemon. It stands for Pocket Monsters, Digimon, Digital Monsters, and Yu-Gi-Oh is just like this very like it just sounds so different, right? It's like it's Japanese, so like very for 2002 standards, like we were not very accepting of like anime or like nerd stuff and culture. Oh gosh, I don't know when that muted. I hope I didn't mute that for that long. That's not good. I just saw my thing, my OBS not recording. That's awesome. Hopefully it only just happened right now when I shifted. So I had heard about it at school and like I just thought it was like scary. Like there was like zombies and I heard like magician and spellcasters and dragons. And it sounded scary to me, probably because I was like raised in a more religious household, a very Christian based household, and satanic panic and whatnot. Because I remember I'm adding this to it. I remember my mom specifically giving me like a weird talk about Pokemon because she was like, "Well, yeah, like Bulbasaur is like Baltazar and like all these things, like when like how people are doing the like people have talked about Labubus that they're like satanic and they're evil, and it's like, dude, are you kidding me? Are you actually serious? Like that's not what this is. It's just fantasy, or like it's like it's fun. I don't know. I'm sorry, I want to have fun." So I remember like kind of having those fears a little bit and then hearing stuff about like, oh well, this is like the new Pokemon. This is like more dark and like edgy and it's better than Digimon. And I remember liking Digimon too, but I was more of a Pokemon person. I collected the cards. So hearing that there was more cards for another series like was cool. And then, Pokemon, Pocket Monsters, Digimon, Digital Monsters, Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just like so different, right? Like it's straight up like more like abstract sounding like Japanese, like what is Yu-Gi-Oh? Like you gotta go, which is that's a Rugrats reference. Like just so different in terms of like everything, like dark like Magic the Gathering, which I wasn't familiar with until like I was in middle school. Like hadn't heard of Magic the Gathering at all because that's a little before my time. So I remember going had to have been the same week. Um, I saw some people at the Parks and Recreation Center I used to go to after school, and they were playing it, and they had like these paper play mats, and I'd watched them like play a few games, and I saw like Celtic Guardian, Ryukushin Powered. I like can remember seeing that card. Lajin, of course. And I can only assume that they were playing like one for one the Kaiba and Yugi starter decks. And it like pains me to know I don't remember who they were. Like they were probably people I saw all the time, but the memory of the Yu-Gi-Oh cards and like the mats and unsleeved cards, because this is a time before we sleeve cards, which is crazy to think about. Which is why it's hard to get really good condition like cards from this era. Because people historically and even now just like play this game to play it, which is actually like a uncommon thing allegedly. But yeah, I remember seeing that and like being like, "Oh, this is crazy!" Like reinforcements because it was the trap card that gains 500. Oh wow, Blue Eyes White Dragon, 3000 attack. That's crazy. Like, just like all these like different looking monsters, like just so unique. And even now, like compared to modern Yu-Gi-Oh, like old Yu-Gi-Oh just like there's a certain like style to it that's grim and like kind of ugly that's really appealing and cool. But they had offered to teach me how to play. And like tried to explain to me like, oh well, this card like it says flip, like explaining Man Eater Bug to me. So like when it's flipped up and attacked, you can destroy a monster and like pretty simple stuff. Card destruction. None of us knew how Soul Exchange worked. Obviously, it's not a very intuitive card to teach somebody how to use, especially with the old card text they used to have. Yeah, so like I learned how to play that way, and I was like, oh, it's a little confusing, but like that's cool. I don't even remember if we had used like 8,000 life points or if we just copied the show and just did 2,000. So like duels were obviously quicker. Yeah, like I've been trying to remember this since I wrote this outline out, and I kind of can't just because it's been like at least 20 again like quarter century, so like 27 years maybe. I'm 30, so like no, like 24, almost 25 years ago. But I remember I brought it up to somebody at school the next day, and I was like, "Oh, like, dude, somebody taught me how to play Yu-Gi-Oh, and I thought it was really cool. I don't have any cards, and I don't think my parents are gonna want to buy me any cards because, like, again, religious things." And the next day, he gave me like this big stack of cards, like just bulk, like commons, and those are the first Yu-Gi-Oh cards I've ever owned. And I want to see if I have them. I should. I've just reorganized everything, but I should have them here. Let me see if I can find some. I know I have like two. I'm gonna have to. Oh, here they are. I'm gonna have to. I literally put these aside when I found them so I could talk about them. I know for sure. Like, no, that's too new. There's some in here that I know are because I see some like Dark Beginning cards. So I'm like looking down. Those are evolution. Okay, like this for sure. It's a crab turtle, one of my favorite cards ever, just because of there's like a lot of just talking about this right now is like it's wild to think about it. Like I didn't think that much of it before, but like sitting here doing it, yeah, this is cool. It's like some of my first commons. Yugi Evolution, Lajin in Japanese. Yeah, those are probably like these two are the ones that have stayed with me the longest. Or this one, this crab turtle. Let me just show you on camera. Um, I'll have to cut some of that. It's this thing is beat up. Look at this. Look at the edges, dude. It's so round, soft. But like this is from that stack. I've always kept this card. This card is you smell it. It still smells like it. Yu-Gi-Oh cards have a very distinct smell, but yeah, like that. It's crazy to think that like this thing is soft. It has fraying on it. There's a crease a little bit right here. Like this is one of the first cards I've ever owned ever. I might actually look at the sleeve of this. Like it's dirty. I always kept these in the same sleeves. I might grade that. So anyway, those are the cards I got, and yeah, eventually, like I caved, and like I was like, oh, "Mom, like, come on, like you gotta, like, I really like this game. It's really, I had a lot of fun, and I really want this new deck that Joey from the anime. I don't even remember what I told her, but yeah, like I asked about it, and yeah, so like I brought it up and I asked for his starter deck, and I remember going to Toys R Us and picking it up and like being so excited because like, oh, Time Wizard's so cool, like oh, Thousand Dragon, and then eventually that was how I got them, and so I have here one of the cards from that, which I know is mine. Oh my god, oh my god, this is really bad. Look at, I don't know if you can. I'm gonna try and put it in the light. I don't know if you can see that. I'm gonna try and point it out. Like, right there. There's like a freaking indent like all the way in it. Like it's really bad. It's really funny. Yeah, so this is from the first product I've ever purchased ever. You can see like it's like I don't know how that got there. You'll probably understand once I tell you my story. When I stopped playing for a time. So I remember that, and then eventually like I got the Pegasus one, so like I have like a SDP card. So I won't take these ones out. It's a Mask of Darkness and a Giant Soldier of Stone. It's like very nostalgic, very cool. And I had like a neighbor who I'd play with. And we would kind of just like whatever were the good cards, like just good stuff. That was the era, right? So I remember doing that a lot. And then I remember getting a used copy of I almost said the GBA game, the Game Boy Advance game, the Eternal Duelist Soul. And that's where I learned how to play the game proper with like 8,000 life points and like proper strategy. So of course, the one I had was a because it was used. I'm gonna assume it was either cheated with or like something because they had every card. But who knows? It could have 100% of the game and they just like they just sold it. And they had the Cyberstein Turbo with like Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, just like really annoying cards that would just try and OTK. So that was how I learned what an OTK was. I was like, couldn't have been older than 10 years old doing that, which is really funny to think about. I remember then like getting really into it and like buying like packs a lot growing up, like Dark Beginning, Invasion of Chaos. I would read the Beckett Yu-Gi-Oh magazines, and I remember getting them from time to time growing up. Like my parents would get them for me, and seeing like Labyrinth of Nightmare, like the Masked Beast has 3,200 attack points. Oh, it's better than Blue Eyes. It's so broken. And I think this is before the Battle City like anime stuff had happened. So like seeing that and like Mask of Restrict and like the Earl of Demise is one, Amphibian Beast being like a 2,400 for one tribute. That's pretty nuts. And just like really like following like the price guides. I think that's why I am the way that I am about Yu-Gi-Oh now. Is I remember reading every card in that list and like being like, oh, like that. I don't know, like memorizing a lot of them or like their numbers or just stuff like that, which is, it's really cool. I that's just what I grew up doing, I guess. And I'm from Southern California, so I remember someone, I think my neighbor Trevor, the one that I played with, that was my neighbor, had told me about Frankenson's like card show or whatever it's called. And this is before they're at their location at now. They were more towards like Diamond Bar, City of Industry, like in a warehouse area. And like, oh man, that place like blew my mind. That place was crazy. I mean, you'd have to walk like you'd have to go on an adventure of like to find parking very far and then walk, but like best prices you can get on anything ever because the vending was very competitive. And I remember like that place blew my mind. And then there was like Japanese, there was a section of the store that sold OCG cards. And I remember reading about some of these unreleased cards that they were previewing in Beckett Yu-Gi-Oh. I remember reading about those cards in the magazine, and then my friend Trevor and I, because his parents would take us, we would buy the cards or like buy packs that hadn't come out in the States yet. And then we'd like pull out the magazine and like try to remember like what they did. And then anytime we would forget, we would be like, oh, like we'd have like we remembered what page they were on. It's like, oh, it's like on page 54. That's what is that card? I actually can pull this up right now. It's like Needle. It's like a one tribute monster. From I think Pharaonic Guardian. I think it's Neil Burrower. Yeah, it is Needle Burrower. He's a 1700 5 star. Yeah, 1717. When this card destroys a monster and send it to the grave, inflict damage to your opponent's life points equal to the level of the destroyed monster times 500. I remember I used that, and I have like a Japanese version. I probably still have the Japanese version somewhere. Hopefully. And yeah, like even just talking about that right now, like, oh, that's crazy. Like that's how far back I go with this series. And I remember seeing the OCG exclusive like structure decks for Merrick and Joey, and then it was like the series two, so it was Yuki Kaiba as well. It had like a different art for like XYZ Dragon Cannon, and just being like, oh dude, this is sick. Like Pegasus had like the Toon Gemini Elf. I remember buying what pack is that? It might be a reprint pack. OCG pack 304, I think is what the set code is. Yu-Gi-Oh! OCG 304. Power of the Guardian. Yeah, so this is in series 3. And yeah, this one has, yeah, I remember Black Luster Soldier is a ultimate rare in it. But I had where is it? I'm sorry. I mean, I get it. I'm on a podcast. I can just tangent. Yeah, I remember like Staunch Defender. I remember Rod of Mind's Eye. Thousand Needles, of course. Blindly Low Goblin. I have some of these like random OCG commons that so anyway, I'm getting carried away remembering all that. But like, oh, it's so cool. Like I still have some like ultra rares I pulled from those packs growing up. Like those are I still have them raw, like in my binders that I've kept as like personal mementos, I guess. But yeah, so like this store, like this warehouse thing they did twice a week was so cool. Like that, like I didn't even know that could exist. And like even today, like that store, people come to like see it. Like it's kind of viral online. Like people talk about this place like that. Like it's legendary. Highly recommend it if you're a nerd, by the way. Highly, highly recommend you visit Frankenson's warehouse or a card show, sports card show, collectibles. I don't know. If you look up Frankenson's, you'll know. You'll see it. But I remember like I must have been like 9 or 10 at this point, at the very least. I'd made friends with a couple people at school with about Yu-Gi-Oh! And him and another mutual friend went to Frankenson's. I remember they were like they I don't even want to say this. I wrote it, but like basically they had built decks that they had stolen from dollar binders. So they were playing like Gemini Elf, Dark Beginning reprints, Goblin Attack Force, like all these dollar cards, and they made like beat down decks. And then they would wager like ante up cards like Battle City style, because so it must have been that point, right? Because that's why they said it. Like that was the consensus. Now it's like, oh, you have to give it your rarest card, because we saw it in the anime, and now we have to do that in real life. So they were doing that, and they would win. So I don't remember what they had gotten, but like they were getting really good cards, which is like really funny to think about. And then I remember this is what I'm gonna tell you right now is just like nerd trauma. I don't know if I've ever even shared this story anywhere before besides like the few people that know the story. But I remember I was playing with a neighbor in like the apartments I lived in at the time with my family, and I had like OCG stuff. I had a lot of different stuff. She was weird. Now I think about it, she was just a bully. Like I didn't think anything of it until I wrote this down. Like, oh, she was actually just a bully. She had kind of like made said something to me like I don't even remember, but like we had gotten made fun of, and like I had told her like to kind of like okay, like I'm just here, like leave me alone, basically. And she grabbed my card, she grabbed my deck with everything in it, and like just threw it on the ground, like full force. Everything just went everywhere, and she like started like she put her foot down on cards and just started scraping, like just going. And like I remember I was in shock, like, and like yeah, like I it's crazy to think about. I hadn't thought about this until I was like, well, why did I stop playing when I was a kid? And that's why. So that happened, and like a lot of my cards, which I don't have anymore, I got rid of them, and I was really sad to think about it. But it's cool that like I've maintained a lot of these, like again the crab turtle, like being the first card. Like, dude, this is cool. I'm probably gonna do something with this and grade it or something just for myself because I think that's really awesome. Yeah, so like I basically stopped playing out of heartbreak. Like I couldn't I that was like the worst thing like for my child brain ever about my hobby, right? Like the thing I like to like I actively kept up with. Anyway, I won't meander on that one too long because that's actually like just sad. And I remember like kind of putting it in the back of my mind. I remember in high school. No, it must have been like middle school. I'd like gotten back into Pokemon, and yeah, because I ended up playing. Oh, it was actually after probably this incident. So like maybe like 2004, maybe five. Whenever Fire Red and Leaf Green came out, I'd seen my neighbors. I'd seen my neighbors playing Fire Red and Leaf Green, and so like of course I did. And then like I got really into Pokemon for a really long time, and then I played all the games and like gotten really into that. I'm like tangenting about this because I'm trying to remember the timeline. So anyway, I'd gotten back into nerdy stuff after this person had like made me feel bad about it. And then I let's say jump to like the late 2010s. I learned about what an R4 is for a Nintendo DS. And if you don't know what that is, it is a way to play games that is questionable. It's you're sailing the seven seas. I'll just say it like that. You're sailing the seven seas. And I got told about the new Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship game that was coming out the following year over the Nexus. But I had hung out with him and some of his friends after school. Shout out my friend Kim. She's awesome. She invited me to hang out with them, and then I saw him there, and I was like, "Oh, you like hang out after school and play Yu-Gi-Oh?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, like I didn't have a deck, wasn't gonna play it, but like I watched them, and I watched them play like Synchro era of Yu-Gi-Oh, and I thought it was really sick." And so I was like, "Oh, like I won't buy, I can't buy cards, like I don't." My parents will give me an allowance, whatever. So he was like, "Oh, just play the Over the Nexus game when it comes out." So I did that, and oh my god, dude, like that game, I dove into that. I didn't realize how much Yu-Gi-Oh had changed and like gotten like much more like optimized with deck building and like synergies. So like now to this day, like my favorite deck from that era is like Quick Draw, like Synchron with like Dandelion. So freaking cool. That's what I play in Edison and try to like break it and play it meta. I didn't realize until a lot later that I was actually just playing like Edison format. Like I mean, it was like Six Samurai was good. It's like pre XCs, so like no Frog FTK, but like Six Samurai was really good. Dragoonides were really good. Machina was good. Black Wings, Dragons. And then I like fell off again just because like I was already a young adult. I had a lot happen in that time, and then like kind of growing up, becoming an adult. And then in 2019, all that changed. I actually have a video on my channel. I'm like shilling my own YouTube channel from like 2019. The Legacy of the Duelist, Link Evolution on the Nintendo Switch came out, and I remember like, it's like, oh, well, dude, there's like a simulator again, like Eternal Duelist Soul. Like that's cool. I should catch up. And I remember I played it and like learned about links and pendulums. I had known about XCs. I remember they were still called Exceed because they hadn't translated it to the states yet or localized it. So it's just like a direct translation of what it sounded like in Japan. But anyway, I learned about all those new cards, fell in love with like heroes, and so I like told my friend Chris. Shout out to Chris, the boy. I talked to him about Yu-Gi-Oh, and he just like straight up had not stopped following it. He just gave me a hero deck that was from like I think like Legendary Decks 2. And big shout out for Chris for that one. Legitimately just got me into the game like overnight. Just from us hanging out and playing like really like casual builds and just like super cool. Like that's like the reason why I'm like keeping up and like decide like, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh is cool to play in person because I had mostly just done it through the games. I remember watching like Simo on YouTube, like his meta review videos, like top 5 decks for the format or like top 5 budget decks for November 2019 and so on. And so I learned about events, not knowing like there was like a whole like real tournament scene that even was still happening. And so like crazy to think, I think I've attended the last YCS before COVID, YCS Pasadena 2019, and I'm paired. This is crazy to think about now. I never, which by the way, I've never gone to a local tournament. I've never been to a regional. I've only ever played with friends, like casually, like talking about it with people. Which like, how do you find that out from people? So I go and like play like my budget build of heroes, and I think Vision, I think like Ferris, Vion, Increase are out. Vion's been out, but like Increase and Ferris had just come out. And so round one, I play my budget deck. I'm paired with now someone who's it's insane to think about. I was paired against Triff. Yes, Steven Trifanowski. If you don't know who Steven Trifanowski is, he is right now being regarded as one of the best players in the game. I think he has like a 3 or 4 win streak with YCSs back to back. Not knowing who he is at this time, he was a meme because he had gotten banned for admitting to stalling a game. He's known as this guy who's like literally his quotes are pendulum best deck, let's go. We have 5 negates on board, let's go. Like so he's like a meme. He was a meme. Like he still kind of is, but like he's outgrown that because even then he was a really good player. I absolutely got stomped by him. But then he offers me advice on like making decisions with playing. I was nervous, dude. I'd never done this before. I was like shaking. Like I remember my hands were shaking. But he was really, really nice to me. He's always left that really good impression on me. Even like people kind of hate on him because he kind of comes off like an Andrew Tate type of person. But anyway, I won't get too into that. I remember he was like, "Well, bro, why didn't you go mass change into Dark Law?" He was like, I would have lost." He was playing Sky Striker Orchest, which like is very graveyard reliant. And he was like, "Bro, like you should have just played." Like I remember he pointed. He was like, "You should have played Dark Law. I don't know why you didn't go into it." I was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "I'm nervous." Like I was like, "This is my first ever event." Like I was like, "I've never gone to a local card shop and played or anything." He's like, "Bro, well, welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh." It's cool, cool. So that was like my first time ever playing, and I remember when you do that, I feel like when you play like that, like you go and play your first like a real game where like you're in a tournament, you kind of get this fire in you. You're like, oh yeah, I gotta be better, man. Like I gotta improve. So I remember buying like staples. I remember buying like different cards like to try for side. I didn't understand. I'm barely learning side decking like the last couple years, honestly. So I remember I could probably go back and find how we met, but I met a dude on Twitter, replying to like Simo or one of the bigger Yugi tubers at the time. And so I find out he's local. And he was like, "Yeah, dude, I want to like play Yu-Gi-Oh!" And I was like, "Oh, dude, like we should go like you're in the area, let's go to Frankensons." And I can so I went and met this random person on Twitter and I met them in real life at Frankensons, and I helped him build like a zombie deck. And I was like, "Yeah, so you get 3 copies of that. Let's get you some hand traps, whatever." And we would hang out and test for the regional in February. And then I remember we went to a sneak peek for Ignition Assault, and I pulled Lightning Storm, and Lightning Storm was like a $90 card, and I remember being offered like money for it, like $100, and I was like, I'll keep it, like whatever." And then we went to a regional in Pasadena, and I met a guy. This guy is awesome. I actually didn't write this down. I'm just remembering the story because I remember what I did with Lightning Storm right now. Oh man, that guy is awesome. I think I still have his number. His name's like Brian, or like, yeah, his name's Brian, and he's that dude was like the backpack vendor of all backpack vendors. If you don't know what a backpack vendor is, like it is what it sounds like. It's people who go to events and just have like binders and binders and binders of stuff, and they just go and trade and sell stuff, and they sell collections or they buy collections off people. They're there to plus. They are not there to play the game. So I remember I had it. And we see a guy who's asking for trades, and it's him. His name's, yeah, I think his name is Brian. And I was like, "Hey, bro, I have like a lightning storm." I was like, "I'm looking for uh Evil Hero Malicious Bane because it had come out and it was like a $100 card." And I was like, "I'm not gonna get 3 of these lightning storms. Like, I'm just here to play hero." So, and Malicious Bane is basically the lightning storm. That's funny. And he was like, "Oh, dude, like I might," because I think I have like a German version. He goes, "If you want." I was like, like I was like, I would be happier with English." This dude is like, "Okay, bro. I think a friend of mine owes me a favor, like a buddy of mine. Let me see if he has it." And I'm like, "A favor? What does that mean?" And I'm like, $100 favor? And I'm like, that's crazy. So turns out him and like 5 of these dudes, I don't think they do it anymore just because of the way that the game value wise has kind of changed. He's like, "Yeah, bro, I got this guy and I got the card. Let's trade for it." I'm like, "Okay, cool." He's like, "Yeah, let me give you like $10 also, just like to make a good deal or whatever." Cause I'm pretty sure Lightning Storm is going up because it's still a good card. Like it's relevant sometimes now. But me and this guy, the guy I met on Twitter, he's a YouTuber as well. I don't know if he uploads as much anymore. His name's Hanton. He used to make like Dragon Ball Dokkan content. Anyway, shout out to Hanton. Love you, man. Great vibes all the time. Yeah, so like I remember that, I was like, dude, these people just make money like trading cards. Like they just come to events and sell stuff and trade. And yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd go on that tangent about Lightning Storm because I saved his number and I named him Brian, and I made his last name Yugi Mafia because this guy was like a mob member, dude. He's awesome. Yeah, so Hansan and I went and played this event. I played Endymion and I lost every time. It was like I lost Thunder Dragon, I lost against Salamangreat, and then I think I beat like a 6 Sam player in round 3, which is like, yeah, of course, we both went X2, obviously. But shout out Tauntaun for that. That was awesome. That's my guy right there. Really appreciate how you were there for me during a time when I was unemployed and it was about to be COVID. We have a he has videos of us going to events, and he has a video. We both have videos of us opening Tool Overload right as COVID happened. So like if you want to look at some of the lore there are videos on our channels. If you just want like a little blast from the past. That's crazy, dude. That was like 6 years ago. I don't like that. It was like 5, 6 years ago. Anyway, this is a yap. I hope you're living for it. So down the line, like I bought like the Shadal deck when that had come out in that February. And then Verity Anaconda had come out, so I was picking that stuff up. And I started going to a local that was an OTS that was open during COVID, but I won't give their name. Don't worry. I won't say anything. I don't want to break their terms of service with Konami. But I got really, really into it with Shadal Invoke Dogmatica. Really love that deck. Something about that deck. Like if it was meta like right now, it'd be over. I bought Nadir Servants for 70 a piece. It's crazy. Crazy to think about. So I go to locals a ton. I play in the remote duels. I have like some of the promos from that. And then eventually in-person events again. I started like working a lot and I kind of fall off a bit. But not really like playing in events as much anymore. The game was just kind of getting expensive. Adventure stuff, branded, like the cycle just felt really bad. Like they were releasing a lot of stuff, and it felt like the meta shifted like a lot. Where it's like, oh well, here's a new $100 engine, and yeah, like I couldn't do that. That's COVID money too, so that was obviously I was doing it a little bit, but um, eventually I started working, and around the time I got hired, this Master Duel came out, and so like that seals the deal for me. They're like, oh, I can just play this. Like I don't think I'll have a lot of time to keep up with the meta, but like this is really cool. So I sell off a lot of my collection because Master Duel is awesome. Like keeping my favorites like the Invoke deck, Tri Brigade, Endymion, Heroes, and like generic staples, usually the cheap versions, just in case like I get the itch or like want to play. And I don't really like want to go and rebuild that. I was just like I had like a lot of like tech cards, like cards that just weren't good anymore, or cards that weren't worth as much, or like cards that were worth a lot. So I was like, whatever, just I'm gonna sell a lot of this, and like I had a lot of bulk. And that's something I'm still working on now, where I won't show it, but like there's just a table behind me. There's a table behind me of like a lot of bulk. I'm sorting by like Edison or Genesis or modern or like advanced format. Yeah, so I still have that problem, but I've been really good about clearing that out. And so anyway, through COVID, I had met a really great friend through her fan artwork that she had made of one of my favorite decks. She had a deck. She had a excuse me. She had a art. She had art of Riliona. I like could not think of her name. Riliona and like Golem Aruru. The Magistus cards, and I had seen that shared on social media, and so I followed her, and it was. I mean, I also like graphic design. I had like my graphic design era, so like I also really appreciated when she would like post stuff like, oh, like really awesome work. Really like, and then one day she had asked for mutuals if they played Master Duel, and I was like, that's me, that's me, that's me. So the rest is kind of history in that regard. We started just like doing that, playing Master Duel a lot, talking about it a lot. We hung out in person. We live relatively close in the grand scheme of the world. And she's a friend I just really appreciate, like in both Yu-Gi-Oh and just like in general, like really great friend, someone I really think is an awesome person. So yeah, like I appreciate you, Tori. You're my goat. Shout outs to you. If or when you watch this, you are my goat. I wrote that specifically so I could say it. Because she also kind of like motivated me to make the podcast. I've been wanting to do something like this for a while and just yap. I think it's a nice little outlet, as I've mentioned before. So I thought it was time. So thanks for that. Um, and so before I met her, I went to like YCS's and regionals to play Master Duel side events. And so I was like, oh, they actually have something. And so I told her after we'd kind of gotten acquainted, like, oh, they have side events for Master Duel. We should play in them. But like we quickly found out, like you only get to play like an event or two because like Konami doesn't really support Master Duel like at all. Like they're like, hello, like please play our card game, like not the mobile game. And it's just like that's I'm gonna make an episode on that too. Like I want to make an episode about Master Duel and like this weird discrepancy that seems to be happening with that. Yeah, and so like now recently in the like this is what 2022 23 no I only met her last year, so like 2024. But like as these years have gone by beforehand, like I'm noticing like a trend with TCG just like being better at addressing stuff, which is ironic considering where we're at right now. In the last at YCS Anaheim 2025, it was very obvious that were not addressing problem cards anyway. But I noticed like a lot of the ban lists have been good. Like they hit tier pretty well. They just done a lot. So we're here today as a this is me yapping about Yu-Gi-Oh. But I'm also here to pressure my friend Tori into playing TCG with me because it's a nice getaway. And Konami seems to be refusing to make Master Duel like this bigger aspect of them and put care into it that clearly it deserves. Like there's just a lack of attention and care that's just not there. And it sucks because it's a really great platform. Like it's also like free to play friendly. I think that's the other thing that irks me about that. So I this a lot of this is propaganda for my friend to play TCG, and we can go to events and do that because Master Duel just like it's not getting the support. But we also like want to form a group at some point of people who just want to play like Master Duel 2 as well because there's like no support for that. And so if you're into that, like please let me know. You can like start that up too. But yeah, it's a nice getaway. TCG is really fun for what it is, and I don't know. You don't have to really keep up with meta if you don't want to. Just play cards, and especially right now, like a lot of the cards are budget. I mean, other than Dominus Impulse, which the next episode I'll have my locals report regarding that card is very funny. Anyway, um, yeah, okay. I mentioned the podcast episode about Master Duel. So yeah, here we are. We're in the present day. I hope I was able to remember everything in my timeline. That was a nice tangent. What else? What else? What else? Thanks for sticking around for it. I actually ended up remembering a lot more just by talking about it, and that was really cool. I also recorded a locals report for my first TCG local I went to 2 weeks ago. Today is the 12th of October, which it's the day before my fiance's birthday. So happy early birthday to my fiance. I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna put that here, and I'll try and keep those up. I want to do like locals reports as I go to them because it's like fun to reflect. And honestly, I just love yapping. I love yapping. So we're gonna go to that, and then yeah, I think oh, and then I'm like I don't think I mentioned it, but I'll also be like covering news, like card announcements or like playability and stuff. But yeah, let me just give you a cut to locals. It's pretty short because I tried to remember everything, even though it was like weeks ago. And then that's kind of it. Then I'll just kind of do a little outro there, and yeah. So I'll see you on the other side. If you don't listen to that though, please make sure to follow me or sub to me on YouTube. At What's Up Nate. Everywhere the podcast will be the Imperm column. If you want to submit anything, please let me know. I really appreciate that. Let me just go to the local report now. Go. Hello. I wanted to record this before I went to my second local. Kind of just give a quick rundown before I go to my second one. Because I don't want to forget anything. Because I feel like once I go into the second one, anything that happened the last time I played is gonna just be like drained out of my brain. So here we go. I just want to also keep note that this was a Doom of Dimension sneak peek. So new cards from the set were not played. I brought Fire King, just like pure Fire King, before the whole like Dirac engine was popularized and made public. So it's just more akin to if you're familiar with him, like Dean Kabui. So just like a really tight Fire King list with hand traps and just like good reactive stuff. I went expecting to just lose each game because it's been a long time since I played modern Yu-Gi-Oh in person. To this extent, at least, like modern rules, advanced format. Mostly it's just been playing like retro, like Edison or like there's like the 2004 Tokyo Mirror match I play with a friend. Mostly just Edison though. I've been playing a lot of Edison this year when I get a chance to. But yeah, I was just expecting to lose each game, and I was like, I'm just gonna play. I heard Justice Hunters was a good format. Seems like a really cool time to play, so I'm just gonna give it a whirl. So I went to a pretty small shop. I think our local only had like 6 or 7 people, if that. I don't think we even technically had like a full pod. But it was cool. Everyone there was pretty nice, pretty welcoming. We all kind of like riffed, made little jokes, which is always good. I felt really welcomed. But anyway, my first round, which I think went to the winner. I went up against the winner. He was playing Vanquish Soul Rescue Ace. So this was post ban list as well. So Vanquish Soul has already been hit, where Rosin and Stake Your Soul were to one. So they lost the consistency that they had. Yeah, so he was playing Vanquish Soul Rescue Ace, and clearly just like a really good player. Knew what my deck did, knew how to respond to stuff quickly. Didn't really take a lot of time to think about what they were doing because they kind of already knew like I have to get rid of this card or negate that, and that's how I know like I can win. And they won. I believe I got 2-0'd, so I was like, oh yeah, this guy just knows what he's doing. Really nice guy though. We had a conversation, and we I traded for his Tri Brigade the new fare sheet where it was like $7 and now it's like a dollar. So I should have waited because that's mostly just for me to have as a personal deck. Probably I would probably never take Tri Brigade to locals. Maybe I will. But yeah, great player. I got 2-0'd, won the event, so I feel okay about that one. My round two opponent was a Yummy player, and it was just like really tight games. We were just playing our hearts out. Very anime, felt very good. We went into time in game three, and I think it was my turn. I think if the time rolls weren't the way that they were, and I could have played out the turn, I probably would have won. I had enough advantage to just come back with Fire Kings and just like completely sweep them. Because Yummies are, pretty weak monsters, and I think just Fire King just grinds against decks like that. So no, we got a double loss instead. but it's fine. Like it happens, whatever. I think this was like the week after that had just had gotten announced, or like the same month of that. So like a lot of us weren't used to time. And then my last round was round 3. Again, we had a pretty small pod, so we just there was buys and couldn't really get into a 4th round. There were another yummy match, and he was a really nice guy. I don't think they were very familiar with Fire Kings to just stop and read a lot of my cards, which Fire King's pretty rogue. Even when they were big with Snake Eyes, like you weren't playing it for Fire King, that you were playing it for the Snake Eyes stuff because they just went crazy and linked off and linked off. Fire Kings was just a way to get there with Ponix and just like they offered like the B strategy of grinding. And I could tell it seemed like he was kind of like still learning the deck. So I had that. I This is, by the way, I didn't mention this. I should have wrote this down. Because I do have like a broad outline in front of me. This was I never played against Yummy. I haven't played anything that's modern because I was strictly a Master Duel player. Once I stopped playing modern in like 2021, 2022. The last thing I played was format was that? I was still playing Invoked, and like I knew it was over, like it was already time. Like Verte and DPE were legal. I'm trying to think of what was there at that event that was meta. It might have been Tri Brigade. I feel like I'm wrong about that though. Anyway, so like it's been like 4 years, maybe three or 4 years since I last played Yu-Gi-Oh! In modern. So everything I'd had at this point had just been through Master Duel or like through like listening or watching videos on YouTube and like all that type of thing. So I'd learned how Yummy played by then, and now I'm worried that because I'm going to this local today, Marshmallow is just gonna completely clean me up because Marshmallow is just that good. I didn't even finish talking about my game 3 or my round 3. They weren't familiar with Fire Kings. I guess that's this is what this is for, right? It's to yap. So I'd already kind of learned the matchup and learned how to stop like the field spells and stuff from bouncing back to hand and getting like the weird grind combo that thing that Yummy does. And so I sided in Skill Drain, which I brought on a whim, and I just cleaned house. Well, Skill Drain's just like crazy for Yummy. Like they can't do anything. And even because I think I won the die roll, so I went game 3, go first, and then I flipped Skill Drain, and they had like brought out Cupsy, and I flipped Skill Drain because Cupsy's like their searcher. So I was like, okay, they're like Cupsy, Yummy, normal. I'm like, good, okay, effect, Skill Drain, and they're like, ah, okay, I'm gonna link off Cupsy, and then they're like Snatchy effect, and I'm like Skill Drain, and then they like I don't remember what else they declared. I think they special summoned or did something, and then they were like declare effect, and I was like Skill Drain, and he was like, oh my god, you got me, like god damn. So yeah, that was a pretty good one. That one validated me a little bit. So that was my one win of the day. I mean, yeah, it was round 3 against someone who probably went 0-2 as well. But I at least got a win. I was just expecting to lose. So whatever, like I'll take that. Yeah, really nice local. I want to go back to that. I think they're also that one's kind of further from me, but I like how small it is. Definitely felt less pressure from that. I used to go to like Project CCG and when they were in Montebello in California, and that place would get packed. Like, and it was a really competitive local. Like everybody was playing tier 1 all the time. Yeah, so it was cool to kind of see like I mean, again, these decks are cheaper than they were then, where I was buying Nadir servants for 70 a piece, and that's a lot of money. It's crazy to think about that because Nadir is like a $5 card for Rise of the Duelist Prince. So yeah, I'm excited to go to locals tonight. I have like 45 minutes to get there. My drive says 20, so I'm probably gonna leave right now. It's different from the one I went to. I think this one's a little more competitive in general, so I'm a little concerned about that. I'm probably gonna see like I'm expecting to actually see like Mitsurugi Raizio or like Mitsurugi Yummy Draco Tail. That's a deck I haven't played against. I kind of know their combos are very simple, low to the floor. I just picked up a playset of Dominance Impulse. I don't remember if I said that. I'm just kind of going off of what I wrote here. I'm excited to see how much of a difference that makes in my tournament run because I definitely felt it when I went and played this first time. And I felt really comfortable with playing Fire King in general because I've learned a lot of the weird like situational stuff that comes up with Master Duel. Kind of automating it so like I don't question it as much, and I like to feel confident when I play my cards. I don't really like to just be like I think it does this, like maybe. Yeah, so I'm just doing this locals report for my first time because I don't want to forget. This is gonna get jammed into the first episode, I'm assuming, and then episode two will have my locals report. I might just record both. I don't know. I'm literally rambling now, so I'm gonna end this here, and you're gonna go back to episode one. So yeah, thanks for chilling with me and listening to me out for this. Let's go to future Nate when he records episode one. See you there. Okay. Okay, my bit is over. Goodbye. Okay, check one, two, three, four, five, six. So that was my report on locals. I felt happy playing Yu Gi Oh again. It was really nice. There's nothing quite like playing some cards and kind of like forgetting where you are, like putting the phone down and just using it as your calculator. I don't know. There's something about like the in person thing that I think it's nice. Once you kind of get past the hurdle, once you get past the hurdle, it's a lot of fun. And then you never know like what you're gonna see. Specifically it's just like I saw a lot of yummy, so like that was fun. This is I learned it. I learned how to play against it without Marshmallow, but now Marshmallow is out as I'm recording this, so different deck. But that's all I've prepared for our first episode of the Imperm column. I just want to say thank you for joining me for this discussion. Again, if there's anything you'd like for me to discuss or check out, please feel free to comment here on YouTube or reach out to me on socials. I'm with Subnate on everything, and I plan on uploading these on podcast platforms. Thanks again for being here. Really, really appreciate it. Like I cannot state that enough. I'll see you on the next one. And Tori, play Yu-Gi-Oh, play TCG. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say now. Goodbye. Have a wonderful day. I want to do like the APS pass turn, but that's their thing when they go pass turn and then they end the video. But I'm not gonna do that. So goodbye. End phase.